is the Auntie-preneur with Nephew Nick podcast. I'm here with my Aunt Lynn. My name's Nick Dory, and we're just going to hang out and talk today. I don't know if you want to say hello, Aunt Lynn.
Hey, Nick, how are you today?
I'm great. How are you?
So, man, it's wonderful. June 7th, Northern Illinois, just enjoying the beautiful sunshine today.
That's awesome. Yeah, we have some great weather over by me, too. We just got back from, I'm part of this community garden group, and we were just planting some pumpkins and stuff. So it was really, really nice to go outside and enjoy the weather.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so like we do every week, we kind of just talk and about just, being productive, or like just how we're feeling that week, and just sharing wisdom and all that fun stuff. So I got our first topic on the board here is and again, it doesn't have to be strict like we have to talk about this, but the first one I have here is feeling good about being productive. So like for me, like I feel personally that people have a lot harder time feeling good about themselves. Like whenever you think about past experiences, it's so much easier to like recall those like experiences like, oh no, like I shouldn't have done that, or like why did I mess that up. But I feel like it's so much harder, but it's much more vital to like think about past experiences as like a good thing that you need to work to actually enjoy, and because that way you can like seek them out more in the future. What do you think about that?
Oh, Nick, I'm so glad you asked. So talking about productivity, and let me know if I missed the point of your question, but one of the things that I've noticed in my career, I've worked in sales, marketing for nearly all of my career post college, and productivity waves and flows. And really depends on how much you're enjoying what you're doing, whether it's a hobby, work, or just reading a book. Productivity waves, and there's a lot of things that go into that. I really think that you're way more productive when you're, of course, passionate about what your task is in front of you, but a lot of us are not really super passionate with our work. If you're one of the 10% of the lucky people that just absolutely love what they're doing and can get into focus, and they're super hyper their productivity is very high, those are the super lucky people. But what about the other 90% of us? Now, I do love my work. I always have. I am a worker bee. Really enjoy getting into that space in my head where productivity is, paramount. But I have to say, I've had some reflections recently after reading a few books, not 100% focused on productivity, but a lot of the world today has run into popcorn brain. Never heard of that phrasing before until very recently. I guess it's been out for a little bit. But when thinking about your mental health or your work productivity, I started to look back over like my corporate position that I've held for a little over a year now. And the question when we started talking about this was, how do you measure productivity? How do you know you have felt productive? How can you be productive in everything you're doing? And
it's different for different people too.
Oh, it is. A lot of it just depends on your sleep. Like, did you get a good night's sleep, or
for sure.
But addiction is hopped up on two addictions. One is like caffeine or sugar or whatever you're drinking or consuming to give you energy. And the other addiction that's really going on is our addiction with our phones.
Oh, yeah.
Now, I, as a parent, would be yelling at my kids all the time to put their phones away. Can you just look at me? Can we have a dinner without the phone going? Well, it was brought to my attention about 3 years ago that I actually had a worse addiction to my phone than my children did. And, of course, I denied it right up front because, parents can never be, addicted to something more than their kids. But it's true. So one of the things I've noticed is when this was brought to my attention was the fact that not only was I missing out, but I was finding myself as I become more addicted to my phone that I was rewinding the show I was watching because I was so busy looking at my phone. I had missed part of.
You're definitely Yeah, that's funny.
Oh my gosh, this is just not good, you know. But then I started to turn off the TV, and I would hold my phone. Next thing I know, I'm like flipping through reels on Facebook, and an hour and a half go by, and I was like, holy cow. And my phone addiction at the time was, well, I'm watching doggy videos, and it makes me happy, and it brings joy, and it's a de-stressor and stuff. And what so many people think about with their brains is, well, if I'm doing something that makes me happy, it's productive. And for some people, that's very true. You know, but the problem comes is when it becomes an addiction. And we all know there's tons of research that talks about the addiction of blue light and everything made today is flashy and attention grabbing.
So, that's so hard.
And I noticed that I started to get popcorn brain at work. And I didn't know what the term was, but all of a sudden I was like, oh my God, I have ADHD. All of a sudden, here I'm 57, and I must have had it my whole life then. I was reading the book, The 5 Resets, and one that had a whole reset talking about popcorn brain. And my eyes got real wide, and I was like, wow, this is what I've been experiencing. And I also am a health coach, and when you talk to people and their addictions, whether that addiction is food or alcohol or soda or lack of sleep or being on your phone, or there's tons of them, because the brain can be easily tricked and can be, switched to an addictive form. I started to look at that, and I noticed that if my job is one of the most important responsibilities I have, and that productivity, that output that I put out for my company is very important, I am shooting them and thus shooting myself by having popcorn brain. And that is something that not a lot of people talk about.
And especially for me too. I totally I like the term popcorn brain. That's the first time I think we talked about it. But we've talked about this before, where like we'll do something, and this I think talks about as well, like being able to find like happiness, or like feeling good about like being productive, or like planning things out. Like I like to think like like you're going on vacation, right? When you go on a vacation, some people I guess maybe don't plan a vacation, which is fine. Like, there isn't a wrong way to take a vacation, but I think it's a lot easier when you're going on vacation to plan out things so you know what you're expecting. Like, oh, like I want to just lay on the beach this day. Maybe this day I want to go to this restaurant, and that's how like I've been trying to think about with the things I enjoy. Like, oh, like I want to watch this movie. Like, so I'm gonna make time out of my day to like sit down and like actually watch this movie, because if I don't do that, like I'll just be on my phone, or I'll do something else completely, and it's just hard to actually, like, I want to do this thing, but it's so hard to actually get around to doing the things that you're like, oh, I actually really really want to do this, as opposed to, oh, I'll just sit on my phone and just like watch videos about cats all day. And like I wanted to ask you too, so you said that book, The 5 Resets.
Correct.
I've just Googled it really quickly. I don't know if you've read it, or can you just like give a summary about it? It looks pretty interesting.
Yeah, I'm into the 3rd of 5 resets.
Oh, okay, that's pretty cool.
I was kind of reading it quickly. I'm part of a book club. There's 4 or 5 of us, depends on who could come, and we are reading personal development books for this book club, and there are all different types of women, all helping each other along on this journey. We have a young one who's just kind of starting out in her corporate career, and there's a few of us that are at different stages of life, no kids that are, grown up, etc. And we talk a little bit about the world that we're living in, and how when we get older, you start to have such wisdom, and you can reflect, but why then? This book club is really focusing on, then why does this still bother me? And so we all play off of each other's experiences to help not only ourselves, but also to help the youngest member of our group have a more fulfilled life.
Like, I don't know, realize that for sure. I totally get that too. Like sometimes where like you're, part of me is like always like I think there's a human part of us that's like I'll never have enough. I think that's something just like to acknowledge and be like I always want more. Like if I could have $1 billion, I would want $2 billion. It's like it's always like this more and more and more thing. And I think for me too, like what you were saying with your book club, like just hard to rationalize that and not even like try to do more, like be more like of course be more productive, but like be happier with not I don't want to say less, but just yeah.
Less is more.
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
For sure.
Yeah.
And this book, The 5 Resets, so I've completed 3.
Mm-hmm.
The first one, if I'm remembering it correctly, is identify what matters most. That is for sure. It's been a little while. It's been about a week that I've picked up the book.
Mm-hmm.
I cannot remember the second thing, but the third thing
that's okay.
I absolutely remember was reset your brain and your dopamine exhaustion centered around the phone, and what they really wanted you to exercise was like charge your phone in another room, keep the blue light away from you, set it so that way it sleeps, during your relaxing hours. I've also read in other places to make sure that if you want to stay focused at work, not only do you keep your phone, let's say, out of arm's reach, but turn off all notifications. The phone, oh my gosh, it's buzzing and dinging all day, and then I'm like, oh, did I get a text? And stuff like that. And me having, some older children, I do have it where even if it is on silent, it will break through. So to me, nobody else's like phone call is an emergency unless it's from my son or daughter. But everything is made to take you away from your focus. And if this book, The 5 Resets, I wish I could say more about it.
Maybe in the future we'll try to get a plug or an advertisement from them. We'll see. That'd be nice. We'll see. But sorry, keep going.
Write the book is I've read all of these topics before, but she's just a really elegant writer, and she had me at hello. It's just a really easy like cutting, melted butter.
Yeah, it looks like a good
type of writer.
Interesting book for sure.
Since you have it up, I don't know if you still have it up, but you can read the back cover, and it will actually say what the 5 resets are.
Yeah, let me look here. I'm looking here. Let's see. Okay, I just got it right here. So the first reset is clear your mind on what matters most. That makes sense. Sounds like a good place to start. Second reset, find quiet in a noisy world. I agree. It's very, very noisy. Third reset, like you were saying, sync your brain with your body. Fourth reset, I don't know if I want to spoil you, but I guess we'll just come up on it here.
Yeah.
Come up for air. So from that, I imagine like just getting a chance to breathe every once in a while, not taking yourself again, like back to the topic of not being too hard, trying to enjoy being productive and not being too hard on yourself. Just if it goes through, that's great. If it doesn't go through, being more stressful on yourself is not going to make you feel better. It's just
exactly
take the lessons learned and go forward. And then the fifth reset is bring your best self forward. So it sounds like a nice, I would say, like, just self-improvement and being confident and trying to be happy. That's what's hard too. It's so with the phone as well, it's like always having to compare yourself with other people, especially with social media, having to see like for me too, I try to track like what I'm doing, and so like 1 week I'll, again, like you said, cycles of being productive and not productive. 1 week I'll be like, wow, I was so productive, I got to be like this all the time. And then like last week, this current week, I'm like, like I got some stuff done, but the stuff I got done was pretty important, and just because it wasn't what I wanted to do, it's something that still absolutely necessary. So,
absolutely. No, that's great.
Yeah. This is great. This is good. We're jamming. We're moving through. We got it. This is great. I guess we could look at the second topic then, since we're
let's go.
looking here. Just being flexible. So
that's a good one.
Yeah. I mean, for the sake, let's just say like stretching and like everything's good too, like it's good to stretch like physically every once in a while. Yeah, it's good.
Like your joints. Yeah,
doing yoga, but more I was thinking more like So like having a plan and for like the week or for something, and so obviously some things just go wrong. I think there's a phrase, it's like everybody has a plan until you get punched in the face. It's like
Right.
you sometimes like things, and honestly, if you have a plan and it's like so rigid that it can't like flex, or it can't have any changes in it to it at all, it's probably not like the best plan or the healthiest to go with.
Absolutely. And you know what I always think of is there's one magical word that Ross Geller from Friends always says, and that's that one word, pivot.
Yeah,
you have
pivot,
to
yeah.
be able to pivot.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and flexibility when it comes to your plans or your work or even your family, that is where so many people get into trouble when they're not flexible. And we've always heard this. I mean, it seems like a duh statement, be flexible, but it's very, very difficult for people to be flexible when they think they're right.
Yeah, yeah,
And
that's true. That's true too.
About that is we need to work as a people in making it okay not to be right. When I was younger, I used to, had a very, very big ego. I guess salespeople kind of do.
I think you need to a little bit, but yeah.
I think so, right? On the betting today. But I remember very clearly saying to somebody, "Oh yeah, when it comes to my husband, it's either my way or the wrong way." And now that I look back, like, what a pompous idiot. I was. I remember clear as day being absolutely 100% dialed into that. And now I've been taught that, honestly, are you sure you're right?
Yeah, it's good to have a trust but verify.
Exactly. Okay, yes, I know that color is black, and I know that color is white.
There's all those shades of gray between, yeah.
Yeah, or the better example is I know that color is blue, and I know that color is red. But what if I'm talking to a colorblind person?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so everybody's perspective is a little bit different. Everybody has something to add. What do we know to be 100% true? We know 100% that the earth is round. We know 100% that it gets dark at night and it gets light during the day. But anything else, there's absolute truths are a little bit harder to reach.
Yeah.
And what I have learned is that if you could just let your ego take a nap, set it aside, and make that other person feel important in their opinion, it is okay for them to not be right. It's okay for them to be right. Just put yourself aside, and instead of battling to the death over what I think is right versus what I think is what you're saying is wrong, just have some leeway and some flexibility in understanding there might be a different point of view.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think I want to come back to that point you said of, sorry, I didn't want to detract too much, but I'm sure you've been on the end of this, and I've definitely experienced this when I was younger, where I'm like, oh, Mom, like, get off my back, like, I know what I'm doing. And it's so like
Right.
It becomes like almost like a reaction where you're just like, wow, let me like just do this. But it is good. I think that's part of getting older too, is just like actually slowing down to listen to people and letting that ego not slip. But again, the point I wanted to bring up before was ego is I think so tricky too, because there's points in your life where you're like, you need to have an ego. You need to be confident in yourself. You need to say like, okay, I believe in what I'm doing here. And then there's also times where, you should be open to criticism. You should be open to collaboration.
Absolutely.
And there's such it's a fine line. I think people don't talk about it enough, where like, for example, you're in an office setting and I don't know, you have like a project you're presenting something. And obviously in that position, you kind of have to balance that. You have to juggle those balls of saying, okay, I'm confident in what I'm presenting and what I've prepared. But if someone brings something up or something obviously you're like, it is something that I haven't thought of before, I want to, present on that. I want to take their criticism at face value, but also, if it's something that I have prepared and it is something I think that maybe I've already gone over, it could be a good say like, hey, I have thought of this. It is something that has occurred to me. So maybe I should try to present to you. Maybe you weren't. I don't know. Maybe this person just didn't listen the first time I said it. For me, it takes at least 5 times for somebody to say something to me, and then like, oh, I think I maybe understand it now a little bit. So. Yeah. Yeah.
And one thing about learning and relearning and relearning is that sometimes it takes experience for someone to understand what you're trying to teach.
Yeah.
So I heard a statement and said, okay, that's nice. I didn't retain it because I didn't have anything to leverage ownership or comparison or knowledge against. I can't think of an example right off the top of my head, but let's just say now I'm in a new job 4 months later, somebody's teaching me this again. Well, now I have some substance to wrap that around.
Yeah.
And then 4 months later, I'm meeting with a client in a sales situation, and now all of a sudden in the back of my head, whatever they were teaching me comes to surface.
Yeah.
And now I have a real life experience to apply that knowledge.
Yeah.
So that could, very well be where you need to hear things multiple times in order for it to, let's say, stick. The problem that we have, and I don't know, it's a problem and an opportunity, it just depends on how you look at it, is there's so much information. We are in information overload.
That's true, too, very much so.
Yeah, sometimes we hear something and we're so busy being distracted by some other piece of information. I think it's a battle sometimes when we go to bed as to what did we all see, learn, get exposed to in a day that's sitting in our short-term memory.
Yeah.
What actually gets stored into our long-term memory. And if you don't use it, you're going to lose it.
Yeah. Yeah, especially, I guess I could say, so from my experience, like, for my work, I know we'll have projects. Sometimes if projects come in, it's like, okay, we got to get this done, like, today. Like, it's funny because like most of the time at my work it's like pretty even keel, like we're just going through the motions, like I know this, I know what's going on, and then bam, there's this new project and we need all these requirements and it's these new things that we need, and it's like we can't do it the way we did it before. In those situations, like it's not, I'm sure any team would be like, okay, what the heck is going on? Like it's pretty tough, and it's hard to, especially when these projects require like quality of like, if this project affects other projects, so if you mess up this project, it's gonna like it's you can't have it both ways. You can't like rush through it and then also be like, okay, like this is the highest standard of quality. So again, like in those situations, I'm talking to people on my team. I'm like, hey, like, do you know what's going on? Do you know what's happening? And sometimes they're like, yes, and sometimes they're like, I was gonna ask you if you know what was going on. So like, it's at least in that situation, it's good to have like an ally where you're like, okay, like at least someone else is in the same boat I'm in.
Absolutely. And didn't you feel that way in school when the teacher would explain how to complete an assignment, but you were lost at step 1? So steps 5 through 6, you never really understood them because you couldn't compare them. So at least at work, when you have peers that are also in the same boat, you can feel united in the fact that you can ask for clarification, so that way you can put out that best quality.
Yeah, and it's, I think everybody kind of goes through that too, where again, it's like balancing these tasks where we have these motions that we feel comfortable with. We have these things like every day. It's like, okay, I need to, for example, I need to feed the pets. I need to pick up after them. I need to, wake up and make my coffee. Like these things are really repetitive. But like for example, I think today, I'm trying to think of something crazy happened today. I mean, I guess not really. I'm trying to think of off the top of my head. I was gardening earlier, so it wasn't anything super crazy. But like, I guess I won't stay on it too long. But there always comes these times where it's like, okay, like we need to go. Oh, this is a perfect example. We need to go to Chicago Friday because yesterday because we needed some immigration paperwork we needed to do. So obviously navigating Chicago traffic, if we've all been there where it's like, oh my gosh, like a million different things to do. The signs are terrible. Like, You know,
Right.
no one is letting you merge into your lane of traffic. Like that's how it feels when some of these projects come down. You're like, I have to take 2 exits because I missed my first exit, and like it's all craziness and.
And this was, can you imagine what life was before GPS?
Oh my gosh, yeah.
You young man.
Yeah, oh my god, I wouldn't be able to do it. I wouldn't be able to. It's like
Hold a map.
yeah, you have to have someone a navigator in your your passenger seat to help you go through that. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, but then put yourself in a panic situation in the middle of Chicago trying to navigate the street, and then turn down the wrong way.
Yeah.
On a one-way street. Let me tell you, that's an experience.
Yeah. Especially all the construction too, like, because if you turn there and there's like, sorry, I don't want to take up too much. I don't want to stay on this. I mean, we could stay on the driving metaphor for a little bit more, but I'm sure everybody who's ever listened has been like, oh yeah, traffic is crazy. But especially in big cities, it's like, it's like trying to manage a crazy work project.
Exactly. Wrong ways, etc. Technology today is really a gift. You wouldn't, for example, like if we were turned the wrong way in a one-way street, we would stop immediately once we realized our error. We wouldn't keep going. The real nice thing about technology today is if you're going the wrong way, technology will help you understand and see that you've turned down the wrong way on a one-way street. At just, speed, it's all about the speed. Back when technology wasn't necessarily as readable or like Google and all the access that we have today to knowledge, you could go a year in the wrong way.
Yeah.
And that was very, very costly. And I think, and this is a tangent, but I think that's where some of the early successes in whatever industry was they were so attuned to what they knew and what they saw that if they were going down the wrong way in a one-way street, they could be agile, they could be flexible, and they would turn around. Where entrepreneurship, which kind of fits into the title of our program, is difficult to slice it. But today, at least, we have the technology and the understanding, and we can talk to others who have gone the same direction to have a better understanding. And if you're going the wrong way, you can at least, turn back quicker before it becomes too costly.
Yeah, absolutely. And I guess kind of on that too, and just to let you know as well, because I'm seeing here, it says about 8 minutes left in our call here. So we can keep talking and stuff. I just want to let you know it might kick us out in about 8 minutes.
That's great. So let's make it a good one. Let's bring this one home. Let's land the plane.
Yeah, I guess we can kind of, maybe the last topic is, sorry, before you said that about going down the wrong road and stuff like that. So for me personally, I'm trying to work on projects like this video game that it's a big project. It's probably the biggest project that I've ever worked out before, like solo, just doing it, because usually when I make something or like I'll do something, it might take me a couple months or something like that to actually make it. But after it's done, it's like, okay, I don't have to like keep working on this thing. But this project I'm working on is so many different ins and outs, so many different technologies, so many things I'm not used to. Some things really I am used to, like obviously making the music is something that like I'm like, okay, I know what to do here. But I guess it is, but there isn't risk without reward when you're working on stuff. And sometimes I'm like, oh, I don't want to work on this. Like this is I don't know what I'm doing. Like, what am I doing with my life? I think we've all been there. But
absolutely.
I think, at the end of the day, you have to look at it and be like, look, like I could just be like on my phone looking at whatever I want that, I could, I might find some momentary happiness in just like looking at cat videos. But this is something I think that would be fun to share, not just with like other people, but with my family. And like, I think it's a fun idea just to play around with. So, about that avenue of going down this road where you don't know if it's the right way to do it or you don't know how to do things. Sometimes you just got to risk it for the biscuit. Sometimes you just got to, obviously you have to know when to cut your losses and say, okay, this is something I got to pack up, give yourself some deadlines, give up and say like, listen, if I can't get it done by this, like, it's I tried, but I learned a lot, but I gotta stop doing this. So, I think just, I don't know if anybody's listening, or for you, Aunt Lynn, for sure, I would just say keep trying at it. For telling this partially to myself as well, just keep going at it, keep trying, and you never know how stuff will turn out.
Right. Something will absolutely stick, and in my musings over the years, one thing I know for certain, not everybody agrees with me, but I know this for certain, is that we're here on Earth, that we have a faith. When I went to college, I got a marketing degree. I did not know that I was going to ultimately serve in the pharmaceutical industry for most of my career. I did not know I was going to be in sales. I did not know I was going to get an MBA. I did not know X, Y, or Z. Now that I'm at, let's say, the last third of my career and I look back, I just see how perfectly divine it all is. If this decision didn't happen, then this wouldn't have happened, and then I wouldn't have found my true calling and my success here in the middle part of my life. And if that didn't happen, then this wouldn't have happened. So I really believe in the fate journey. That may have already been pre-laid out for us before we're born or when we're young. Not everybody has it easy. I truly believe, I really truly believe that sometimes a no is the best thing that can happen to you, because it takes you to another part of the journey where the yes is going to take you and propel you forward. I tend to always think about myself, and I'll leave it with this. In a canoe, in a river that has a current, and I might have a paddle or some oars or whatever, but if I really, really want to work hard, I'm going to try to, A, either go against the current, B, try to get to shore where the current's harder and it's pulling me back to the middle. But I really believe that if your life is the middle of the river where the current is the most even, it's going to take you where you're supposed to go in life. But we don't know where that is. And so as people, we sit there and say, oh, look at that shiny exit, or that, hey, look at that beach, or hey, look at that waterfall. Oh, that would be fun. So life is like a river. The easiest is to stay in the middle and live out what your fate is. But we don't know what that is. And so we're always trying tributaries and, like, exploring. Oh, look at that shiny, glistening water over there. I think it's supposed to go over there. But in the end, we just always get pushed back. The longer you are fighting something that's not meant for you, the more frustrating your life will be. But we won't really know what the middle of the river is or what river we're on, I think, until, you're later on in life and you can do some reflection. Yeah,
that's beautiful. That's great.
Thank you. One day I'll write a book on it, and then we can all be talking about it.
You could plug it if we can plug it on here, that'd be great.
Yes, I think it's going to be called Fate Map.
That sounds great.
So one day we'll have this conversation, Nick.
Hey, I just want to shout out real quick before we head out. It's my friend Luke's in the chat. Luke, this is my aunt. We're just talking about how to be a professional, how to be, going through life, going through being good, productive people, just feeling good and just working it out. So I have about a minute left here in the meeting. We'll work on this in the future. We're always trying to get better here. But yeah, I think that's it. Thank you so much, Aunt Lynn. It was so good to talk to you.
Welcome.
It's always a pleasure.
You too.
And I'll talk to you soon, and I just hope you have a great rest of your day.
Thank you. You too, Nick.